Hello ladies and gents, and you join me on the embankment and for a real piece of history, ancient Egyptian history, Cleopatra's Needle. This obelisk, prostrate for centuries on the sands of Alexandria, was presented to the British nation AD 1819 by Muhammad Ali, Viceroy of Egypt, a worthy memorial of our distinguished countrymen Nelson and Abercrombie. Before we go round, you've got these sphinxes, which are not ancient Egyptian of course, but were added at the time this was put up. That's better. See properly now, but my retina's burned out. There we are. And there's a plaque over here, which is another interesting thing I want to show you. The scars that disfigure the pedestal of the obelisk, the bases of the sphinxes and the right hand sphinx were caused by fragments of a bomb dropped in the roadway close to this spot in the first raid on London by German aeroplanes a few minutes before midnight on Tuesday the 4th of September 1917. Look, and you can see the scars and damage on the sphinx itself, and all along the bottom there, all these pits and scars and whatnot is damage from a World War I bomb. So yeah, there you have it, Queen Cleopatra's Needle. This is, I don't normally do that many on-foot tours now, because so many locations that I have to do, it's generally just the locations, so I thought we'd come and enjoy ourselves along here on the way to one of our locations. Through patriotic zeal of Erasmus Wilson, Fellow of the Royal Society, this obelisk was brought from Alexandria encased in an iron cylinder. It was abandoned during a storm in the Bay of Biscay, recovered and erected on this spot by John Dixon, CE, in the 42nd year of the reign of Queen Victoria, 1878. Luckily the obelisk itself wasn't damaged by the war. Look, you can see more of the damage on the pedestal over here, and an undamaged sphinx whose face we can see properly because we haven't got the sunshine in our eyes. There we are. This obelisk, quarried at Sinai, was erected on Heliopolis by the pharaoh Thutmose III about 1500 BC. Lateral inscriptions were added nearly 2 centuries later by Ramses the Great. Removed during the Greek dynasty to Alexandria, the royal city of Cleopatra, it was there erected in the 18th year of Augustus Caesar, BC 12. There we go down these stairs, get a nice view of the Thames and the rear side of the obelisk. William Askin, Michael Burns, James Gardiner, William Donald, Joseph Benbow, William Patan perished in a bold attempt to succour the crew of the obelisk ship Cleopatra during the storm of October the 14th, 1877. And look, you can see the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs really clear on this side. Worn, of course, by the cold, salty Thames wind. It would have not felt that in its own its own location, would it? Yeah. Got the London Eye there. Waterloo Bridge. And just peeping over the top of Waterloo Bridge there is the Dome of St Paul's. just along here, you see those big lion's head rings there. They're mooring rings for the old boats. Unlucky looking Thames at the moment, I must admit. The old water stairs where once upon a time you could have gone and caught a boat from a waterman, gone upstream, downstream or over river. Road travel was not pleasant or convenient in those days. So the river was the main mode of transport in London. We're going to cross over here to this memorial. Just point you up a minute. And just there, this building here, is the back of the Savoy. At the end of our little video here, an historical image taken from the roof of that involving a very famous man will appear. I shall say no more. Right, we shall now cross over. Hopefully without getting ourselves killed once this car's gone. There we go. Van rather. Addison Lee. Let me go to this memorial here. The British nation and the grateful people of Belgium, 1914-1918. Justice and honour. And where we're going to go is this way. These runners have gone by. That's the Savoy over there, and we should go this way. I'll point you this way so I don't point my phone at anyone. The view ain't bad either, so I've seen worse, much worse. There we go. Don't like pointing the phone in people's faces. We are off to another little tucked away location. Let's put you this way a minute. Water fountain in there. One of London's little parks. We do have some lovely little parks in London, I must admit. It's a lovely day in London today. The spring is out in force. Victoria Embankment Gardens, that is, we've just walked by. go over this way. Pause you a sec. Famous Michael Faraday. Michael Faraday, September the 22nd, 1791 to August the 25th, 1867. We are at Savoy Place, looking at the Savoy just there. And we're going to go up Savoy Street, this way. To our next location. Savoy Street, WC2. One last look back down at the Thames before we go. Waterloo Bridge. Let's point you this way a minute so I don't film anyone. Here we are, the King's, once we get past this lorry, the King's Chapel of the Savoy. One of the ones that survived the Great Fire of London, a largely Tudor structure. It is closed today, but in the archetypical, here's one I prepared earlier, this has been filmed before. Savoy Steps, this is. These little roads and alleyways would have once taken you down to the Thames and the river steps, which are all over the place. But as you can see, it is a work in progress at the moment. Just going to pause you a sec, and any minute now you should hear it chime. It does chime a little, it's a little bit fast, this clock, it got me once before. Now 2 o'clock, and as we leave Queen Cleopatra's Needle behind, ancient Egyptian history, this interesting architecturally shaped building, shall we say, tucked away on Savoy Hill, and the King's Chapel of the Savoy. Previously, up until the death of the Queen, would have been called the Queen's Chapel of the Savoy. It changes with each monarch. And this was founded by Henry VII as part of the Savoy Hospital complex, a charitable hospital for poor and homeless people. Well, yeah, hope you've all enjoyed this little stroll from ancient Egyptian history to the Victorian or early 20th century and to Tudor, and we got to hear the clock chime. So if this is one of your things that you want to see, this chapel, that will be another video. This isn't a part 1 and part 2, so click out for that one, or look out for that one rather I should say. That will be King's Chapel of the Savoy. So I hope you'll all enjoy, and what an absolutely gorgeous London day. Look at the sky, real fine and pretty. Right, take care all. And now for our historical look back. We're going in order of locations we've seen rather than date order in this one. And here we see Cleopatra's Needle, the machinery for placing the obelisk in position on the Thames Embankment. Illustration for the graphic, 1st of June 1878. So we get to actually see that being put up. Same as this, raising a Cleopatra's Needle in London, 1878. It's clever really how they did it. They were amazing engineers, the Victorians. And here we see a nice photograph which is late 1870s, early 1880s. This one shows the Thames Embankment, London, date between 1890 and 1900. You can see Queen Cleopatra's Needle there, and right over to the left you can see the old Savoy. This image dates from 1900, a nice one taken from the Thames. The Savoy, a hotel now, but originally a palace built by John of Gaunt. Destroyed in the Peasants' Revolt of 1381. Here we see the Savoy as it was as a hospital which was built by King Henry VII, and we see it here in 1650. A rare engraving etching by Holler. And here we see the old Savoy, and as I promised you, a pretty famous image. Here we see Archives 1952. Chaplin returns to England after 21 years in the US. 24th of September 1952. Cries of good old Charlie greet Chaplin as he returns from Waterloo. And here we see him up on the roof of the Savoy with his wife, pointing out some of the London sights. The King's Chapel of the Savoy. Interesting little area this, where the blue arrow is pointing. Another famous person once stood here. But earlier than that, you see the church over to the left, and the Savoy Steps. The river originally once came up to this area before the embankment was built. The Thames came much further inland, and you would go down these steps and down to the end of the road and you would catch a boat in the original days. But these cellars, if you watch my tour of the King's Chapel at the Savoy, the upcoming one, the cellars are still there, but filled in by the looks of it. But very interesting. This is early 19th century, by the way. And our famous one, Bob Dylan, doing Subterranean Homesick Blues at the Savoy Steps. And this was part of his documented Bob Dylan's tour of England in 1965. Subterranean Homesick Blues, the opening of Don't Look Back. The cue cards are written by Donovan Allen Gainsbourg and Bob Neuwirth, both visible in the video, and Dylan himself. And this one I found quite interesting, with the basement written on it. Makes you wonder, all the building work that's going on there, did Dylan go down into those basements or see them? It's interesting that we see this and then we look back to this and realise that quite a bit of it is still there under these modern buildings. Now that I would definitely like to have a look into. Alright, that concludes our little part of this tour. Hope you all enjoyed, and if you want to see the King's Chapel at the Savoy, join me for that one.